Hello and welcome back to the final round of the 51st American Flying Discs Open presented by Dynamic Discs. I'm Emily Dale and I'm joined in the booth here with Ben Appel.
Pleasure to be back.
We have our final round here in the beautiful Parma Park in Rochester, New York. This coverage is brought to you by Gatekeeper Media and Heiser Media. We have one more beautiful round on this weekend. Couldn't have asked for better conditions. Sunny, 80s, and a low breeze. We get to see Evan Smith, Silas Shultz, Ty Love, and coming back is GT Hancock. Here's a little snip of what we saw in round two. Silas was making a push there, so excited to see what he has in store for us today as we head into this final round. Hole 1, 315 feet, par 3. We've seen a lot of our players ending up right at the edge of that hill in those guardian trees, going backhand, turnover with a putter or mid-range.
Raleigh, North Carolina, Evan Smith.
Yeah, we see Evan Smith going with a backhand again. He's gone that all 3 rounds now, and he's done it very well the last 2 rounds. So let's see him execute it one more time. Excited to see if Silas can really feed off of that energy he had last round and keep the push going to try and keep Evan from running away with it. So really excited to see this card tee off.
Yeah, and as we've seen in previous rounds, there's nothing guaranteed. This course has a lot of teeth, as you can see by Evan grabbing some of those branches.
Fortunate for him, he caught something early enough. He's not OB in that creek in the middle, so he should be able to save his par. And here we see Silas for the first time on the coverage for this tournament. Glad to see some new faces here, but he's the only person who has not previously been on the coverage, so hopefully that doesn't get in his head or make him nervous or anything.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a breeze here on hole 1, but not for Silas. That was a beautiful shot.
That's what you want to do, put pressure on the leader right off the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And here we see Ty Love again, back on the coverage. Couple strokes back from the leaders, but definitely not out of it, like you said. Anything can happen out here.
Oh, you see that grabbed a nasty root and unfortunately rolled down into that OB creek.
That is very unfortunate.
Glad to see GT joining us again on coverage. Looking smooth. Ooh.
Oh,
almost too smooth.
Up on top of the hill. But he gets the green flag, so he should be putting for his birdie.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's lucky to see where Evan dropped. You can see how wide that OB creek is.
Nice shot.
Great upshot.
Oh, puts it in a little ring of rocks in the dirt right there, so absolute tap in par. But let's see if the rest of the card can make a big putt or two and capitalize on his errant tee shot.
Oh, that was looking good.
Also looking good out of his hand. Just got to hit that first gap, and he just didn't quite commit to the height there.
Good strong putt from GT. I was going to say that's a scary putt with that drop off right behind, but not when it's in the basket.
Yep, just can't think about what's behind it. Just got to worry about getting it in. But here we see Silas with his park job. That's a great way to get your round started. Park job, don't have to worry about putting too much, and you still get the bird.
And a stroke on the leader. Hole 2, par 3, 310 feet. We've seen this hole trip up some of the players on their tee shot, but a lot of the players are able to scramble and save a par. It's a tough tee shot, but there are some lanes. Players do have to contend with the OB that is tucked up right behind the basket there.
Yeah, this hole, the main objective is for your tee shot is just to get around the corner. It's kind of hard to see what the corner is exactly, but once you get around it, it's pretty much a straight shot. Silas seems to have caught something and kicked down a little early, but he should have something to manufacture to get up and down for his par. This hole averaged right around par, just ever so slightly below it, so you want to try and get the birdie here and gain some strokes on the field.
I love that commitment to the height. He should be right outside circle 1. And Evan's going back to this forehand.
Yeah, I respect the commitment for it. Forehand is definitely the road less traveled, but that just goes to show that if you know you can do something, you know you can do it. And oh no!
He jumped over the logs and found that OB deep, but he should be fairly short putt to save his par.
Yeah, so he'll have a 10, maybe 15 footer for his par. Seems like players this round, at least on our lead card here, they're filtering more to the left. I wonder if they've realized that there's more opening over there, and even if you do get caught down early, you have a little bit of a lane to run it. Even Silas here giving it a kind of a half bid there. So I wonder if that was intentional or if it just so happened that way. Whew, good run there by Love.
A little low, but does stay in bounds. And like we said, this is what Evan is left with for his par save. No sweat.
Yep, typical Evan Smith fashion. He is dead center.
It's been really exciting to watch these players battle back and forth all weekend. There's been a lot of changes in the leaderboard.
There's Love and Hancock just finishing up their putts for par there. No real stress. And Silas doing the same now. So it looks like we have a little par for him on the second hole.
Hole 3 is a par 3, 440 feet. We've seen this little cluster of trees create some problems for our players, but really you're just trying to push a flip up flat shot and get as close to the basket as you can through this tiny gap.
Yep. To nobody's surprise, this hole played as one of the hardest, coming in as on this round the 4th hardest hole on the day. Because the gap is tricky enough, as we can see Silas doesn't quite get out. But then once you do make the gap, you have to contend with that little cluster deep, and then also it's over 400 feet, so not an easy hole by any means.
Oh, that flipped up nicely, but unfortunately squared up the tree. It looked like he kicked out into the open. Should give him somewhat of a look to try to save a par.
Yeah, that's the tree that you're probably going to try and hit if you're going to hit one, because you definitely don't want to be on the left side. The left side is where the forest gets really dense really quick and really has no chance to scramble for a par, but the right side you have a little bit more grace. As Evan shows us the way, putting it down the middle of the gap.
Great
And
shot, but it looks like he's going to have some obstruction with that little grove of trees we mentioned, forcing him to either have an awkward attempt or straddle putt.
I think he was there back in round 1, and he actually had some kind of putt, so I'm curious to see what he has now. As we see, Love also kicks something and moves into the middle of the fairway. Silas up first here. Didn't even make it out of the gap all the way, so he still has a shot he has to shape around some trees.
And that was really well executed for what he had to work with. He does have a tree in his line of putt, it looks like, but he might be able to finesse a long par save.
GT is about 15 feet short of being in the open fairway, so he has a similar shot to Silas here. But it looks like it's a little more open, but ends up about the same spot, somewhere in the middle of C2.
Oh, and this is where you don't want to be when you kick. Ty has found the dungeon of Parma. You can see how dense the woods are.
Yeah, so he's just trying to find a gap here, cut the corner a little.
Well, that was phenomenal.
He'll take it. He will
Absolutely.
take it. Looks like he's up again. It appears he's looking for something high, so I don't think he has a line to the basket. He's just trying to get something out of the trees and get himself an easy bogey putt. Oh, never mind. He was running that. That's phenomenal.
This is the final round. Of course, he's running it.
Evan having a tough putt. Gives himself a pretty short par putt there. Oh no, excuse me, that'd be a bogey for him. GT dead center. Just not quite the height.
That was a great bid, just a bit high.
Yeah.
Off the band. It is worth noting we only had one birdie on this hole in round 3, and that was Jonathan Hall.
Shout out to Jonathan. It's a very impressive birdie to pick up. There's GT cleaning up the putt. And Silas and Ty Love here are going to do the same as we move on.
Look at that camaraderie. We love to see it. Here's a check-in as to what's going on the chase card through 3 holes. We see some pushes. Mason Marchbanks is down 1 so far, trying to make a charge. Hole 4 at par 4, 815 feet. We've seen this play as a harder hole throughout the weekend. Slowly has gotten a bit easier, but still coming in around the 4th as far as difficulty goes. Players really just want to push something open, big pump into the middle of the fairway, avoid those small trees that you see lining both sides.
Yep, the tee shot here is just all about your landing zone, knowing where you want to get it to for your second shot for either birdie. A lot of airspace to work with if you like the turnover, forehand, or a couple other options. Evan Smith has done this, I think, every round. He just crushes a turnover out there, puts himself in a beautiful spot.
Yeah, love seeing that shot shaping. through the trees. We'll take that.
It seemed to have it seemed like the wind kind of pushed his down about midway through the flight, so I was hoping to see more out of that, but he's in a fine spot. GT using all the height that he can. He's going to hyzer out on him a little bit, but it looks like he stayed enough in the middle where he shouldn't have too much of a problem with those trees for his second shot.
Ooh, this is looking good.
Yeah, Ty here just crushed one a little too far. He's definitely going to have an awkward lie for his second shot. Looks like GT's going big old hyzer, hoping to skip it into the basket.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a little too wide and snagged some of those trees lining the fairway.
Looks like the leaves in those trees are moving a little bit, so there might be a little bit of wind out there to contend with. So let's see how these players handle that for their upshots here.
Just slightly off, but it'll be interesting to see what he has to work with from there.
That's the really tough part about this green is you got that bush type stuff to the right, you have the trees to the left. You really got to come in straight, just like this is looking. This is, ooh, that is very nice by Evan. Like we said, Ty's got these trees to contend with.
Yeah, awkward shot, but honestly, that kick was favorable for him.
It works out in the end. He'll most likely be taking a par, which is not the worst score to take on a hole. That's one of the hardest, especially when your drive is not perfect. GT here having a awkward little chip up forehand.
Great shot.
Yep, good up there by Love as well. And this is what Silas has.
I feel like we need the camera angle behind him to see what he's looking at in there.
That'll do.
Yeah, more open than we thought. Great bid.
Oh.
Good cleanup.
Yep, good putt from GT there. We talked about GT's putting routine on round one, about how he takes his breath beforehand, and Silas kind of does a similar thing, but with his empty hand. And it seems to work just as well.
Yep, he sneaks that one in.
It's always fun to see people's routines and see how people get into the mental state of putting.
Absolutely.
As we see Evan here, putting for his birdie.
And he gets it.
He was one of 3 birdies on the day. So another very difficult hole. Other 2 birdies were by Zachary Nash and Connor Ruck.
It's a hole 5, par 4, 605 feet. Players are really trying to just push as far as they can and try to get themselves a look around this corner into the corridor where the basket's tucked away. Ideally, what we're going to want to see is just 2 big hyzer shots.
That's always easier said than done, as the first shot here has to be pretty precise with that gap pretty far off your hand.
No, not again. Fit.
Oh, kicks into the middle for him. But that's going to be a little shorter than he wanted, to say the least.
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah, just finish right in front of the trees. Or through them, that works too. What a
Yeah,
shot
will
by
do.
Silas.
Beautiful shot there. Love to see the crowd that we're starting to collect here on the final day as well. Thank you for everybody who come out to support this event.
Thank you.
And that is a beautiful shot there from GT as well.
Yep, he's in the middle there. He'll just have some sort of skip shot into the basket. Didn't seem to like it out of his hand, but it looks fine. That's a great shot from Love.
And that's exactly how you draw it up. Beautiful shot.
That's textbook. That's perfect. Such a perfectly timed skip. Distance. Everything about that was such a good shot. Looks like GT's got a similar shot, just a little closer than Evans was. And he too does a fantastic job.
And this is what Silas has, basically just a straight shot right at the basket. Ooh, it looks like he was trying to throw that one in.
It does look like it. He got very close, but now he's got a decent little putt left to make for his birdie. Got a tie here going with the little flex forehand. And he does that near perfection.
Just a little bit off from that awkward kind of kneeling putt that he had to do to navigate those trees, but he cleans up his par. As we see our other players grab some birdies.
Okay, so GT doesn't do his breath for 5-footers, just to keep that in mind. But still, nonetheless, good birdies.
Hole 6 is a par 3, 364 feet. We've seen a lot of different approaches to this hole. We've seen the big pushing power hyzer forehand. We've also seen some really nice backhand turnover shots.
I've been going with the forehand, like he did the other 2 rounds.
I think he's hit that tree every round as well.
I think he's been close, if not that exact spot. So we know that tree is about 10 to 12 feet away. So you could probably go ahead and check him in for a birdie on this hole. Put a lot of pressure on the guys that are trying to chase him down. GT's is just a little short, so he might have a circle 2 look at it. As we see Ty here going with a turnover shot.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's pretty.
That was beautiful.
I think the forehand shot is easier, in my opinion, but the backhand turnover is always prettier. Okay, this is not what I expected.
But it worked out. He'll be right around the edge of the circle there for his birdie putt.
Okay, so you can do a backhand roller as well if you want to try that. Silas here for his birdie putt.
Hands it.
Yup. Count it.
Beautiful. This did play as one of the easier holes on the day, coming in at number 16.
There's the routine. Always got to stick to it. Keep the putter consistent.
Oh, that had a great pace on it. Just a little bit high.
I thought that was it, and that was a really good looking putt. Evan's having another good putting day so far. Got that focused look on his face as usual. He's here and he means business.
You see GT just wishing that one would have dropped a little bit as we check in through 6 holes. We have some pushing on our leaderboard. It's going to be a tight race there for the podium finish. Hole 7, a 568-foot par 4. We have this lovely wooded fairway that we've seen a couple different attempts, players going straight with a putter or mid-range just to get to the top of the hill and then make their approach down into this basket. We do have the OB Creek Long, and these twiggly trees on either side of the basket make for some challenging approaches.
Yeah, the OB on the left we have found is a little trickier than we first thought, and we've seen a few people already find it. So you're just trying to throw a putter really straight and not hyzer in like that one did.
Yeah, you saw out of his hand he wasn't happy with it. And I was curious if we would see some more aggressive play. The forehand shot, if it can get around the corner, can get you in a really good position.
And that's what Ty's trying to do, taking a faster disc and trying to get it around the corner, but I don't think he did. So that's going to be a tough spot to get out of.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more technical, aggressive shot, but players are checking scores and seeing what they need to do.
Especially with the way Evan's playing, I don't think you're going to catch him by playing safe. So time to get aggressive as Silas shows us the near perfect putter shot just up to the corner. His form is so smooth.
Oh, settle.
Yeah, chill.
Oh, and he is saved by the shrubs.
Yep, fortunate ground play there from GT, keeping him safe, as Evan has to do a weird patent pending backhand, and he does so pretty good. He's down there on the flat. So now he's got a long putt for par. Looks like Ty wasn't in the trees in the bush, so he actually has some airspace to work with.
That might have gotten snagged. I saw some leaves falling. Hopefully he was able to push all the way out. This looks like a great angle.
There we go. GT's got a pretty open C1 putt for his birdie. Hoping to gain a stroke, maybe 2 on Evan.
minimize those branches that make getting into this green challenging. And it does look like Ty found himself right on the edge of those shrubbery. Forced to a little awkward shot. He does pull it a little bit, but will have a potential look.
Silas for his birdie here. C2 bid.
Oh,
So close.
that looked great. This would be for the par save.
Didn't quite seem to have the pop out of his hand that he wanted.
Yeah, you have to wonder if that OB behind the basket comes into his head.
It's very possible. Got to think about a lot of things. So Evan does miss his long par putt. So he will be taking a bogey at best. Maybe giving some life to the rest of the guys on the card, knowing that he is human and they can catch him.
And that is amazing hat, GT. And a great putt.
Love to see it. GT gaining strokes on the leader, strokes on the rest of his card, making moves.
Good cleanups here for the card. Hole 7 did play as the third hardest hole on the day today. We had only 5 birdies from the field, and we got to see one of them. Hole 8. This is our short little chip shot, 250 feet, par 3. As we've seen though, it is not without danger. We've seen some rollaways.
Yeah, this hill is brutal. Any kind of hyzer angle can pick up and roll, or even a missed putt off the basket can roll. So it really takes a lot of technicality in your shot.
That was
GT
tracking
almost
up to the basket.
almost pins it, but that tree stops him. Looks like he sat though. He should have a 10 to 15 footer. We have Shultz here attempting the forehand play. Going the wide gap. He's at the bottom of the hill.
Uphill putt for his birdie.
Evan takes the flex forehand route, gets knocked down, and he'll be in a very similar spot to Silas. Oh no, stop.
Oh,
Oh, good tree. Maybe.
a lot of emotions there.
So he has this very long uphill C2 putt for his birdie.
Sit.
Please stop. Stop.
There's that OB line
Stop.
that we saw in round 1, but thankfully it does stay safe.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
What a putt.
that was beautiful. Great comebacker.
What a putt.
Beautiful. Great height. Trusted it the whole way in.
Never a doubt. Evan's putter is still hot even after 2.5 rounds of playing. So he makes good for his birdie, and GT here has a pretty scary putt. Kind of looking at the basket sideways on the hill there. But he makes good.
Great putt. I saw that little reset there, and like you mentioned, just being able to have that routine and the ability to kind of take the break and take your breath, it's definitely a pro move there. Hole 9 is our 460-foot par 3, averaging slightly above par here. Players are really trying to just push something as straight as they can. We've seen some flexier lines that players take, as it does tend to trickle down the left side of the fairway.
What a great shot. Oh, yeah.
That is what you want. Beautifully done.
Well done there by GT. This is one of those holes that's going to really check how you're playing and how you're doing as a player. The course gives you an easy one, and then this one comes up and you got to really execute a good shot. Silas electing to go with more height.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried.
And he seems to have trickled down to the left side, but he looks like he's going to be putting for his birdie.
Yeah, you hear him call. He was getting a little bit worried there, but thankfully snagged the branches and was able to drop down. And what a crush. That was beautiful.
So Evan's pin high. He's just off to the left side. Maybe edge of the circle for his birdie putt.
These players have made some really good adjustments from some of the previous rounds as they've been out here. And another great shot there from Ty.
I think that's the third or fourth tee shot I've seen Ty kind of look away from the shot when it's halfway through the air, and then it ends up being good. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to ace run everything, or if that's just how he...
Maybe he's channeling his inner Michael Johansson, and that was a nice little shot there.
Yeah, good bid from Silas there. That was a long putt. Same there for Ty, just a little low. Here's Evan, smelling blood in the water.
Ooh. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, that was brutal. That looked good. Hard to tell from the angle. Might have just been a little bit on the left side, but a lot of chains.
It seemed to have been moving most of the chains. So, and GT is a little closer than I first thought. So he's gonna do his routine, try and make this wide open 20-footer.
And he does.
And he's good for it. Taking a stroke on the card. That's always got to feel good. The rest of the card's going to do bag on, tap out putts to finish the hole.
That rounds out our front 9. We have Evan leading the charge, but we have a lot of jockeying on our leaderboard here for the podium finishes. Thank you for watching. My name is Emily Dale. I'm joined by Ben Appel, and we have a lot of great coverage to come for the back 9, so make sure you go check that out over on the Heiser Media channel. And thank you so much to all of our sponsors for this event. It's a beautiful course, and it's well maintained. So make sure you catch us on the back 9.